Rebels, let me tell you something that may sting at first, but will liberate you if you let it sink in. The truth is this: most of you are not trading. You are gambling. And not just gambling in the sense of risk-taking, but gambling in the precise design of a casino. You don't see it because they've dressed it up with charts, with candlesticks, with economic calendars and news headlines. But peel back the lights, peel back the screens, and you'll notice the structure is the same. The wheel spins, the dice roll, and you're caught chasing the hope that maybe, just maybe, this time will be different. And yet, if you've been in this game for any length of time, you know the pain I'm pointing to. You know what it feels like to build a week of profit only to lose it in one impulsive trade. You know what it feels like to enter a position with confidence only to watch the market turn against you the very next candle. You know the shame of telling yourself you'll stick to your rules this time only to break them again when the heat of the moment overwhelms your will. That sting, that spiral, that cycle, tell me it doesn't feel rigged. Now, here's the shocking truth. It is rigged. Not in the sense of some conspiracy against you personally, not because there's a secret hand waiting for your entry, but because the structure of retail trading is tilted against the individual trader in the same way a casino is tilted against the gambler. And just as the casino thrives not on everyone losing at once, but on the majority losing consistently over time, so too does this market feast on the unstructured retail crowd. But let me take you deeper. The danger is not just that the market is difficult. The danger is that it feels winnable. The charts flash like slot machines. The spreads seem harmless. The leverage feels like power. Just like the casino lures gamblers with the occasional payout, the market lures traders with just enough wins to keep them coming back. And this is where most of you live, oscillating between the highs of victory and the lows of destruction, wondering why you can't break free. But here's the rebel truth. You can't break free because you've been playing the wrong game. You've been told that discipline alone will save you. You've been told that following rules is enough. You've been told that patience, emotion control, and focus will make you profitable. But look at your results. If 90% of traders fail, then clearly the formula you were sold doesn't work. Clearly, there's something deeper. This is where we begin our journey. The casino effect is not just a metaphor. It is the most accurate lens to understand why retail trading feels rigged and why so many intelligent, hardworking traders still fail. Over the course of this session, I'm going to walk you through it, not just to expose the illusion, but to give you the countermeasure. Because rebels, you cannot fight an enemy you do not understand. And the enemy is not just the market, not just the brokers, not just your own impulses. The enemy is the structure of chaos itself. So let's start here. Picture the gambler at the slot machine. He sits down, coins in hand, confident that maybe today he'll strike it rich. He pulls the lever, the wheels spin, and for a moment the world holds its breath. He loses. He tries again. This time he wins a little. Enough to fuel hope, enough to make him believe it's possible. Hours later, his coins are gone. His hope is gone. And yet the next day, he returns. Why? Because the casino doesn't need to make him lose every spin. It only needs to make him win just enough to stay. Now translate that into trading. You enter a trade, it goes your way, you celebrate. You think, I've got it. Then the next one wipes out the gain. But you remember that first win. You chase it. You tell yourself, if I could do it once, I can do it again. And just like the gambler, you stay in the game. Days turn to weeks, weeks to months, and your account bleeds slowly while you convince yourself you're learning. Does that feel familiar? This is the illusion of chance. The belief that the market is a fair game if only you try harder, focus more, or get luckier. But rebels, chance is not your ally. Chance is the trap. Because when you operate on chance, you are no different than the gambler pulling the lever. And the house always wins. But here's the twist. Unlike the casino, where the odds are fixed and unbeatable, in the market there is a way to tilt the structure. There is a way to design your play so that probability bends toward you. And that is what separates the rebel from the crowd. But we're not there yet. To understand the countermeasure, we first have to expose the house. We first have to rip the mask off the system that profits from your failure. Let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why your broker offers leverage up to 1/500? Why they lure you with deposit bonuses, competitions, or signals? Do you think it's generosity? Do you think they're trying to help you succeed? No, rebels. They know the math. They know that the more you trade with oversized positions, the faster you burn. They know that leverage is not empowerment. It is a guillotine. And have you noticed how the platform is designed? How easy it is to press buy or sell, how the colors flash, how the notifications buzz, how every moment feels urgent. That is not accidental. That is behavioral engineering. They want you reactive, not reflective. They want you impulsive, not intentional. They want you hooked, not structured, because as long as you play their game, their profit is certain. Now let's go even deeper. The architecture of the market itself tilts against you. High-frequency trading firms scalp the smallest inefficiencies in microseconds while you're still analyzing a candlestick. Liquidity providers push spreads just enough to take a slice from every trade. News events create spikes designed to shake out the retail crowd. The system is not designed to reward your discipline. It is designed to exploit your humanity. But before you despair, pause with me, because awareness is power. Awareness is the first rebellion. Once you see the casino, you can stop being its prey. Once you see the tilt of the table, you can stop pretending it's fair. And once you stop pretending, you can begin designing. That is what we will build toward. But let me not rush, because the rebel journey is not about skipping ahead. It is about deconstructing the lies you were taught and replacing them with structure. And right now, we're still inside the lie. Right now, you still feel the sting of the house's grip. Right now, you still think maybe, just maybe, you can outsmart it with discipline. But rebels, discipline won't save you. The house doesn't care about your rules. The house doesn't care about your patience. The house doesn't care about your affirmations or your morning routines. The house only cares that you keep playing. And as long as you keep playing without structure, you are its customer. And customers are meant to pay. That is why 90% of traders fail. That is why you can spend years in the market and still feel like you're spinning a wheel. That is why no matter how much you study, no matter how many webinars you watch, no matter how many strategies you copy, you remain trapped. Because you're not playing your game, you're playing theirs. But listen closely. What if you stopped? What if you refused to be their customer? What if you designed a structure so intentional, so systemic, so unshakable that their tricks no longer mattered? What if, instead of pulling the lever, you built the machine? That is the rebel countermeasure. That is what we're heading toward. But before we can construct it, you need to feel the full weight of what you're up against. You need to see that the house always wins, and why. Because only then will you be desperate enough to build differently. Only then will you be ready to step outside the casino. And so, rebels, let us peel back the final layer. The house wins not because it is smarter, but because it is structured. Its architecture guarantees its survival. Its edge is not luck, it is design. And design always beats emotion. Structure always beats impulse. System always beats chance. And if that is true, then what happens when a trader, a rebel, adopts the same principle? What happens when you stop being emotional, impulsive, reactive, and start being structured, intentional, designed? What happens is this. The house loses a customer, and a rebel is born. But we're not done yet. This is just the beginning. In the next breath, we're going to dive into the mechanics of the house itself. We're going to expose how the brokers tilt the table, how the market makers feed on your inconsistency, how the very design of the system is stacked against you. And rebels, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Because this part has revealed the illusion of chance. But the next part will reveal the architecture of manipulation. And once you see the house clearly, you'll never sit at its table again. And here's the irony. The very structure that's supposed to protect you, the rules, the systems, the platforms, the charts they give you, every single piece is quietly tilted in one direction. And you already know what direction that is. Toward the house. See, the old dream was simple. If you just follow the rules, you'll win. If you just respect your stop loss, if you just stick to risk management, If you just stay disciplined, somehow, you'll carve your edge out of the chaos. But tell me honestly, how many times have you followed every rule you were taught, only to still watch your account bleed? That's not coincidence. That's design. This is what I call the illusion of fairness. The brokers tell you the market is neutral. The textbooks tell you probabilities are equal. The trading community tells you that it's just about sticking to your edge long enough. But when you pull back the curtain, you see that the house isn't neutral. The house isn't equal. The house doesn't just play the game, it designed the game. And here's the cold truth. In a casino, even if you play perfectly, the house edge bleeds you over time. That's not emotion, that's mathematics. The market is no different for the retail trader who plays by the book of the very institutions that profit off his losses. So let me ask you, why do you think 90% of traders fail? Why is it that despite thousands of courses, billions spent on education, endless strategies recycled every year, the statistic doesn't budge? Because the system isn't designed for you to win consistently. It's designed to keep you engaged long enough for your losses to become someone else's profits. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying the market is impossible. I'm saying the market is structured. And when you walk in without your own structure, you're not a trader, you're the entertainment. You're the slot machine player pulling the lever, praying for alignment, while the house smiles because they know the outcome isn't about luck at all. It's about mathematics stacked in their favor. Let's break the myth right now. Risk management alone does not save you, because if your entries are designed to lose more often than they win, managing risk just ensures you lose slower. You're still being drained, just at a controlled pace. That's like walking into a casino with a budget. Sure, you won't blow it all at once, but you'll still walk out broke. The problem isn't just the bet size, it's the game itself. Here's where most traders break down. They believe that because they've followed discipline, they deserve success. They treat discipline like a contract with the market. If I respect my stop loss, surely the market will reward me. The market doesn't reward morality, it rewards design. And if your design isn't stronger than the house's, discipline is just a leash that keeps you from running while you're still being slaughtered. This is why you've felt the frustration of doing everything right and still being wrong. This is why traders go insane, thinking maybe they're cursed, maybe they're unlucky, maybe they just need more psychology books. No. The truth is brutal but freeing. You're losing because you're playing someone else's game, under someone else's rules, inside someone else's structure. Now, let's pause here and let me walk you inside the psychology of this setup, because unless you see how deep the casino effect runs, you'll never escape it. Casinos don't just rely on the math, they rely on the illusion of control. That's why they let you press buttons on a slot machine that changes nothing about the outcome. That's why they serve free drinks to lower your defenses. That's why they pump oxygen into the air, to keep you alert enough to keep playing. The retail trading space does the same thing. They give you endless indicators so you feel like you're in control. They flood you with data so you feel like you're empowered. They give you shiny trading platforms, simulated accounts, demo competitions, dopamine hits every time a candle moves in your favor. But none of it changes the deeper truth, that the probabilities are tilted, and if you don't design your own counterstructure, you will eventually pay the house. You've felt it, that sinking feeling when the market spikes right before hitting your stop, then runs in the exact direction you predicted. You've seen it happen too often to call it random. That's not just volatility. That's the casino effect in action. Your position is liquidity. Your stop loss is fuel. Your discipline is predictable. And the house knows how to harvest it. Now let me expose the second failure of the old system. They told you consistency is about emotional control. They told you it's about mastering your psychology, suppressing your greed, managing your fear. And yes, psychology matters. But psychology without structure is a cage with no floor. You'll keep falling no matter how strong your mindset feels. Because here's the deeper truth. Emotion doesn't disappear because you meditate or journal or repeat affirmations. Emotion disappears when the structure is so strong, so intentional that impulse has nowhere to breathe. Casinos don't care if you're disciplined or emotional. They only care that the math is in their favor. And the market is the same. Your emotions are secondary. What matters is whether your system's mathematics tilt probability in your favor. That's the rebel alternative. Not more willpower, not more motivational speeches, but structure that reclaims probability, structure that flips the illusion back on itself, structure that makes you the house. But we're not there yet. I need you to feel this first. I need you to recognize how you've been positioned, how every step you've taken so far has been guided into a funnel you didn't design. Because until you feel the pain of that recognition, you won't hunger for the alternative. And here's the third layer. Traders are addicted not to profits, but to engagement. Just like gamblers, they keep showing up because the next trade might be the one. The flashing lights, the green and red candles, the sudden spikes, the thrill of being right, the agony of being wrong. It's not trading, it's entertainment. It's designed to keep you engaged long enough to drain you. So let me ask you, have you been trading to win or trading to play? Be honest with yourself. Because if you're still chasing the thrill, still addicted to the rush, still thinking the next strategy will finally be the magic key, then you're still a customer of the casino. And that's why this truth stings. The house doesn't need you to blow up in one night. The house just needs you to keep playing, to keep depositing, to keep pressing the button, to keep believing, against all evidence, that discipline alone will one day break the system. But discipline won't save you. Rules won't save you. Psychology won't save you. Only structure saves you. And not the structure they give you, the structure you build, the design you own, the intentional system that tilts the edge back into your hands. But here's the challenge. Even if you know all of this, even if you see the casino effect clearly, even if you accept the house is designed to bleed you dry, what do you do about it? What does it actually mean to flip the script? What does it mean to turn their illusion into your design? That's where the rebel's countermeasure begins. And once you see it, you'll never again walk into the market as the gambler. You'll walk in as the architect. And the game will never be the same. And that's where most traders stop. They see the casino. They nod their head. They whisper to themselves, yes, the house always wins. And then they still walk right back in, hoping maybe this time it will be different. That's not rebellion. That's resignation. That's what the market counts on. But you're here because you're not built for resignation. You're here because something in you refuses to believe that your destiny is to remain the entertainment. You're here because you sense, deep down, that if the game is designed, then it can be redesigned. And you're right. The rebel's countermeasure begins with one principle. Stop playing their game. Stop dancing to their rhythm. Stop reacting to their illusions. The first move of the architect is not action, but authorship. You don't run into the market trying to outtrade the house. You step back and build the structure that flips the mathematics. Because structure is the only weapon strong enough to kill impulse, silence fear, and expose the deception. Think about it. The casino doesn't rely on discipline. It relies on rules that guarantee its edge. It doesn't need motivation or willpower or emotion. It has structure. That's why it doesn't panic. That's why it doesn't care about a single outcome. It knows the design is irreversible. So what if you, the rebel, adopted the same posture? What if, instead of trying to predict every single move, you built a framework where probability is bent in your direction, where losses are simply recycled into the larger design, where your emotional state no longer dictates your consistency because the structure itself demands consistency? This is where most retail traders fail. They try to fight the casino with emotion, with discipline, with random strategies. But rebels don't fight emotion. Rebels replace emotion with design. And design is stronger than feeling. Let me show you how this plays out. The old trader sees a setup, feels the impulse, presses the button. He wins, he celebrates. He loses, he panics. He journals, he promises to be better. Next week, same cycle, different excuse. That's the gambler's loop. The rebel, however, approaches differently. The rebel builds a process so intentional, so structured that execution is automatic. Entry, risk, exit, they're not emotional decisions. They're architectural functions. Discipline isn't forced, it's baked into the design. Impulse doesn't scream anymore because there's no space for it to survive. The structure has suffocated it. Imagine walking into the market tomorrow without fear. Not because you've suppressed it, not because you've pumped yourself with motivation, but because the system you've built has already made the decision. All you're doing is pressing play on the structure. That's not trading like a gambler. That's trading like the house. And here's where the myth finally shatters. Success in trading doesn't come from intensity. It comes from intentionality. The market doesn't reward who works the hardest, who stares at the screen longest, who sacrifices the most sleep. The market rewards the one who designs with precision, executes with neutrality, and repeats with consistency. Haven't you noticed how the most consistent traders aren't the loudest, aren't the most emotional, aren't the most flashy? They're calm, boring even. That's because structure is boring. But boring is profitable, and boring is what the casino has mastered. The rebel alternative is to embrace that boredom, to weaponize it, to stop chasing the dopamine of randomness and start owning the consistency of design. That's how you move from being the customer to becoming the architect. And I need you to see this clearly. Your edge is not a holy grail strategy. Your edge is the fact that you can choose to build what 90% of traders refuse to build: structure. They'll keep chasing setups. They'll keep gambling on news spikes. They'll keep praying that discipline will save them. You, the rebel, will build a fortress. And while they are drained, you'll still be standing. Not because of luck, not because of magic, but because design is stronger than chaos. This is the moment where you decide what role you'll play in this market. Will you keep being the entertainment? Will you keep playing the slot machine of retail education, hoping for alignment? Or will you step into authorship, into intentionality, into structure? Because that decision, right here, right now, is what separates rebels from casualties. And here's the application. Stop thinking in trades. Start thinking in systems. Stop measuring yourself by wins and losses. Start measuring yourself by execution of process. Stop asking, did I make money today? Start asking, did I obey the structure today? Because the money is not the measure. The structure is. When you begin to think this way, something inside you shifts. The anxiety drops. The impulse weakens. The noise of the market becomes irrelevant. Because you're no longer reacting. You're creating. You're no longer a victim of randomness. You're the architect of recurrence. And that is the essence of being a rebel. And so here we are. The casino effect is real. The house is powerful. The game is tilted. But so what? Every empire has its cracks. Every design can be reversed. Every system can be hacked, not by luck, not by shortcuts, not by wishful thinking, but by structure. This is the call. Not to play harder, but to play smarter. Not to gamble longer, but to design deeper. Not to survive as a statistic, but to rise as a rebel. And if this message has burned into you tonight, if it has opened your eyes and given you language for what you felt for years, then don't walk away silently. Stand with us. Subscribe. Share this message. Comment your story. Check in for the next drop, because this isn't just content, it's rebellion. It's a movement. And together, we're not just traders. We're architects. Welcome to the Trading Rebels. The house may always win, but not against those who rewrite the game.